Hi there, welcome back to Not Another Budget. I'm Nicole, and on this channel I'm attempting to cash budget my way out of debt and fix several years of financial misbehaviour. And in the spirit of the foremost sentences, sorting out debt and financial misbehaviour, it is time to have a chat about my debt, because if you saw my video yesterday, hopefully the camera shake is going to get over itself in a moment. Thank you. If you saw my video yesterday, you may have picked up on the fact that I am having to fork out £350 a month to debt, to one debt in particular, because I had one which was very aggressive. I've talked about this before. They were threatening legal action. They went ahead and took legal action, and things developed and happened quickly. The debt is mine. I can't dispute that. I do owe the money. I did receive the service that it needs to be paid for, and on that basis I have no grounds really to not own the debt. And based on a rather stripped back income and expenditure form which was used by the courts because they were just scared about the basic 4 bills and nothing much else, I have been court mandated to pay £350 a month on the first, or by the first of every single month. The current issue with that is that I don't have a checking facility. I don't have the ability to pay by cheque. None of my bank accounts do, and they want payment by cheque. So as to whether they're actually going to receive their money by the first of the month is going to be questionable at best. I have emailed them and asked for statements for setting up standing orders and things like that, and if they will not provide me with that information, I will be able to go back to the court and say, hi, I can't pay this way. I have requested to pay a different way in time and they haven't got back to me, so what would you like me to do? But for now, that is where things stand, and that has to come out of my normal income. That's a massive impact on my budget, and as you'll have seen from my budget video yesterday, I'm having to completely rehash how I'm going to do things. 3 years on from starting this channel, my debt is pretty much back to where it started, because something else also came to light in this time, and let's just say I have not been using my time away from the channel to sit on my laurels. I was concerned that obviously all of a sudden I have a debt that moves very quickly and gets very aggressive, and I therefore thought, okay, I'm going to reach out to everyone that I have ever had a debt with and find out whether that debt still exists or not. Now, I'm a millennial who doesn't like speaking on the phone, doesn't like answering the phone. If you're not saved as a contact and you call me, you're not getting an answer. If you WhatsApp me and I don't know your number and you don't explicitly say who you are and why you're calling, and you're not getting an answer. If you leave a voicemail, I'm never getting back to you. So I can't, and also as someone who has a massive fear about phone calls, because I owed money to payday lenders for years and I was hounded. Rightfully, wrongfully, I was hounded. I have issues about answering the phone and getting on the phone and doing phone calls, and I did it. I will have to get back on the phone and do that, but I did a list and I was able to establish all of the ones that I thought had been wiped off or not, all of the ones that have gone into a default or not, everyone that has received a payment from me or has not. I have compiled an extensive list. So that's the second thing that happened. I went, I'm a little bit concerned that all of a sudden something else could happen, because this one's moved over the course of 3 months. It's changed hands. They've gotten aggressive, they've moved and have carried out a court judgment, a CCJ. Those of you who are familiar with such things in the UK will know that my credit is now effed, basically, for 6 years. So because I am going to talk about kind of my financial situation as a whole in this video. This is a longer one. I am not in the position to get that paid off within 1 month, the money that I owe, because they've looped legal fees and charges on there as well. Is any of this fair? No. But this is not a discussion about fairness or not. It is everything I talk about today with regards to my finances is money that I owe, that is charges that I've accumulated. It's things where I've been an ostrich and not had my eye on the ball fully, or where I thought I've had my eye on the ball but not so much, or it's historic from before I even started this channel, and I moved house like 6 years ago, and that didn't help matters with a lot, particularly if I think about some of the earlier debts that I've managed to track down, because me in the process of moving house and not updating them for my address details means that, yeah, that kind of causes an issue. So at no point, hopefully, during this video am I gonna say I shouldn't owe this, I shouldn't have to pay this, it's not my problem. It is my problem. It is my debt. It is my issue. It's very much a case of it is my monkeys, it is my circus. Am I in any better a position to deal with it now than I ever have been in the past? Not really. I mean, I've kind of got a bit of a handle on my financial behaviour, but it doesn't make it any easier when it just comes down to a pure numbers basis. So those are two things that happened. I obviously received a CCJ. I went and discovered and actually pulled my finger out and stopped being an ostrich and tracked down everyone that I ever thought I owed money to, everyone that had ever sent me a letter with regards to debt, everyone that I knew I owed money to them, and I was just calling and double checking that it was still very much encased in play. I pulled all 3 credit reports to cross-reference who was in a default, who wasn't. That information didn't line up. There was debtors missing from one that were on another. The amounts were incorrect. So that was a hefty chunk of admin. And then finally, just the cherry on top of this was finding out that last year, so last September 2023, I obviously received a student loan payment to fund my PGCE. And then at the September last year, so September 2024, I received, and then a little bit in January, some funding to go towards a master's course. Ultimately, I did not complete the master's course. I withdrew due to workload and other commitments and everything that was going on at the time. Now, between both of those payments, somewhere along the line, I received more. This is across both my PGCE and my master's. I received more payments than I was entitled to. That is across both fees and a obviously payment to myself. I don't know how, I don't know why. I filled in everything that I thought was correct. I don't know whether the issue was at their end. I don't know whether the issue was at my end. I am still waiting for clarification on that. But until I get that clarification, until I can work out where and what's happened, I don't know whether it's an issue because I have returned to education after a period of time, and whether it was something to do with my status at that time. It could have been the way I accessed my teacher training. It could have been the way I accessed as a mature student. I don't know. I don't have those answers for you. I'm hoping that I will get those answers at some point in the future. But either way, I received money that I was not entitled to. And because I wasn't entitled to that money, and because it was an overpayment, that core part of the overpayment cannot be paid back the way that normal student loan deductions in the UK are paid back. Now, in the UK, we have money which is deducted from our wages once we reach a certain income threshold. It's a very, very small amount. So I pay £70 a month towards my undergraduate and what I thought was my postgraduate student loan. I'm not sure now exactly what part of it it's going towards. And that's £70 a month, and that is deducted before the money hits my account. That will go up incrementally, obviously as and when my income goes up. But this overpayment, because it is an overpayment, can't be paid that way. It has to be treated like a normal debt. So that was the third thing that has happened. And you will have noticed a delay, or lesser videos going out in August. You will have noticed a delay in me getting a budget out to you. That coincided, and all of that was happening while I was trying to figure out what was going on. You'll know that I made a £150 payment to the guys that have ended up with me in a CCJ in the hope that an offer of payment would do something. It did nothing. And in fact, I probably threw £150 away, because by the time they lumped on £200 worth of legal fees, yeah, it was a bit of a problem. So this video is going to be 2 parts. Like I said, it is a bit longer. And you'll have seen my budget yesterday. Hopefully this is going to give a little bit more clarification for you today. What I'm going to do with regards to kind of savings and things that I think are going to pop up, I'm going to talk about tomorrow. And then we're going to round off, hopefully, this quartet of videos before September hits with this is how my income is looking overall, and here is how things are structuring. But because the £350 is coming from my wages, it's a lot of money to find from a very tight budget. Now, the actual numbers themselves I'm going to go through with you in a moment, but before I do that, in the hope that doing that makes sense, I'm going to brief you on what I have decided to do. So I've broken my debts down into 3 categories. We've got red, amber and green. Red debt is the debt which is getting the £350 from my wages each month, and that is from my upcoming payday today, or tomorrow, should I say? Yeah, because you're getting this on Thursday. So from tomorrow, so from Friday, that is in effect straight away, as long as I have payment details for me to send the money over to. This is things like the CCJ. It is also things like my energy arrears and water arrears, because those are priority debts. And I can hear you going in the comments in the same way that I did. But I have energy arrears and I have water arrears, and those are like part of the 4 quartet, the things that you have to prioritise. House/rent, council tax, utilities. Do you know how you get to the top of a priority list, guys? It's by getting a CCJ issued. The CCJ jumps straight to the top. The CCJ is getting paid first. If I maintain the £350 a month, purely just the £350 a month, and chuck nothing extra towards it, that'll be done by December the 25th. We'll go through the numbers in a second. Then I'm going to use that same £350. I'm going to have to adapt my budget to facilitate this, but use the same £350, try and lock that in and put that towards the arrears, with the smallest to the largest. In the meantime, and I have consulted a debt agency, and we'll talk about that in a second. In the meantime, those arrears are going to be getting paid £1 a month, basic minimum. I did consult a debt agency about this, particularly when we moved to small claims. Now, the issue at the minute as regards my budget is that if I were to use purely just my teaching income as it currently stands, there is not enough money in my budget to pay anything more than £1 a month to the 2 arrears that I have, and obviously the £350 to the CCJ. Therefore, their advice is to contact my other debts and ask for a payment suspension for 6 to 12 months. Now, what I can do from October, because I am expecting a pay rise, because I've been told I'm moving up the pay scale, as with all things with my budget, we will wait and see if the money actually lands on my wage slip. But because I am then expecting a pay rise, that does change things slightly. And I am welcome to get back in contact with them again, do an updated and new budget and see if the advice changes. But at the moment, that is the advice they have given. On the basis that my budget is so tight, they can't recommend a bankruptcy, because a bankruptcy costs £75, and at the minute the numbers say that there is not £75 in my budget. And I did go through and do their income and expenditure form, and I did account for things like eye tests and dental and haircut, all this. You've seen me go through that. I don't like the categories, but I did it. I gritted my teeth and went through it, and the money's not there for it. Obviously, we know in reality my budget does not resemble a debt agency's or debt charities budget at all. I have categories which they don't have, and vice versa. but they're saying in good faith, we can't recommend a bankruptcy. They can't recommend a debt relief order because my income is due to rise over the next 12 months 4 times. Over the next 18 months, it's going to rise 4 times. I'll talk to you about that in a second. So therefore, a debt relief order means that your income doesn't go up at all in that time. And if it does, then you are liable and like for all of your debts again. So they can't recommend me for a debt relief order. They can't incorporate my YouTube or my business income through Vinted or through Not Another Budget because that is business related earnings, and that is therefore it's not treated the same because it's not consistent. So they can't include that. They would have to see 3 years worth of accountancy reports to generate an average and to break it down, and they would then go ahead and say no, put all of the money aside for tax and safeguard your tax and safeguard the running of business if that's how I want to go. I would have to be earning significantly more than I do on a regular basis and tracked over a long time for them to be able to incorporate my business-based earnings. Business is just at the minute a catch-all I'm using for all of those. So that's a massive problem. So I can't use the extra income that I know I'm generating. And whilst, yes, I have landed myself a CCJ and thoroughly destroyed my credit report, for the next 6 years. Strangely, on this occasion, I'm not looking for a 2-for-1 special, so I don't really want to add a bankruptcy onto that, even though we know in reality I could lay my hands on £75 now. I have an emergency fund. This is my debt. I am responsible for my debt. I can grit my teeth and be annoyed about it. I'm probably going to upset some people here. I can wish I'd had a really nice holiday or a new car or a fantastic new wardrobe or a really nice watch or amazing experiences for the debt that I do have, but I don't. Like, this debt was not accumulated getting anything like this. I'm not understating things when I say that for a really long time, I had a massive problem paying bills on time. And as a result of that, a lot of this debt is cancellation and money owed overdue for things like that. Like, that's where a lot of it has come from. So do I kind of wish I'd had an amazing international holiday for the amount of money that I owe? Yeah, but I don't. So the £350 is the red debt. Red being important. Red alert, guys, all stations. That's going to kind of work its own little snowball. The amber debt are my other smaller debts. The debts that could, if they decide they don't want to wait, they're just going to go small claims court as well. So they also kind of need dealing with. They're less urgent, but this guy wasn't urgent. And now he is. So in terms of where the money for that is coming from October 2025, I will be in receipt of a pay rise because I'm now going to move up the teacher scale. I am on the lowest paid rung for a qualified teacher and have been this entire time. Every September, I will therefore move up the pay scale over the next 5-6 years. And that's assuming I don't take on any more responsibilities or have any kind of additional things that I'm paid for from a work perspective in that time. So with that expected pay rise, and with my normal day-to-day budget being very, very, very tight, but just about manageable, I'm going to use the expected pay rise of between £80 to £100. I need to obviously see what the final balance is once kind of pensions and tax and stuff is taken into account. Now, £80 to £100 is going to go towards my smallest debts. The smaller little annoying ones that you've seen hover around on this channel for, 3 years now, and they're going to be paid off the smallest to largest using the snowball method. I'm in the process of going through, and because I thankfully do have a letter template and a formalised, budget breakdown from a debt charity, I'm in the process of submitting that to all of these debts and asking for a payment suspension of 6 to 12 months. In that time, they're not allowed to contact me. They can add interest and fees if they want to, and they can't, if they approve a payment suspension, they can't basically go through with any collections activities. None of what I'm saying, by the way, is financial advice. Go speak to your own debt person. This is advice that I have received. They can choose not to. And they can choose to do it for 3 months, they can do it for 6 months, they can do it for 12 months. So I'm going to have to go, continue getting on the phone to people, basically. The green debt is debt which is already in default. And if it's already in default, it's already hit my credit report. It's already done damage. It's not going anywhere. It's just sitting there. It's in default. Some of my amber debts may, in that time, go into green, in which case the debt snowball may be reworked. If any default debts decide they want to pursue small claims, they could jump up to a red. But because they're in default, they're the lowest priority because the damage is already done. Getting them paid off above an amber debt is not going to reduce the impact of the default being on there. And like I said, I'm not in the... I don't want a multi-buy offer in terms of impact on my credit report. I don't want a 2-for-1 special. Like, one big thing, which is a CCJ, is enough. I don't want more on top of that. But what I am going to do is I am going to pay and pull my credit report quarterly to check and double check and triple check what is going on. In terms of expected pay rises from my normal wage and what the impact is on my budget per month, this is what is upcoming. So October to 2025, I am expecting a pay rise of plus £80 to £100 after tax and deduction. So that's physical money that's going to hit my account. In December 25, I am expecting, from December 2025, should I say, the impact of the 4% public servant teacher pay rise from the government. That's a separate additional thing. Even though that comes into place from September, our school pays a backdated payment at the end of November. Obviously, you are taxed on those backdated payments. And then from December, I will be in receipt of an additional £20 a month. So my income is then going from £100 to £120 higher. From October 2026, I will again move up the pay scale, and I am anticipating, again, subject to change because teacher pay rates can and will change, I'm expecting a payment of another £150 on top of that. And then in December 2026, I'm anticipating, I think it's going to be roughly £30 to £40, but the numbers there are slightly woolly. So over the next 18 months, my standard income per month, before I take into account YouTube and Vinted and anything else I decide to get up and going, and I will have to get things up and going, that is all going to go towards the snowball for the amber debt. It is therefore possible that my amber debt, which you'll see in a minute, could be paid off over the next 12 to 14 months. The red debt is going to take longer because of the scale of the numbers that we're looking at, but then in theory the green debt could be hit very quickly. Hopefully that provides a bit of context to the numbers that I'm now about to show you. And I'm just going to have a drink before we do. Okay. Right. These are listed roughly in order, as in order as I can get them. Right. Okay. Top of the list. Highest priority, including fees and court charges and interest, is £1,549.78 with a minimum payment of £350 a month. Then we have the snowball debts, the amber debts. This is everyone that I've contacted to go, do you still have an active balance for me? This isn't even a, can we have a conversation about a settlement offer? It's just, what do you have for me? What contact details do you have for me? What money do you have owing to me? All of that, all of the extra. Do you want us to do a payment plan? Do you want to do anything like this? No, we're not discussing that. It's just me calling and going, do I still owe you money according to your records? So, debts 2 to 14 as followed. £61.53, £90.95, £98.78, £129.13, £149.85, £152.72, £160.72, £161.05, £179.85, £191.05, £222.74, £306 and £800. That one popped up out of nowhere. That was a unpleasant surprise. Okay. These are going to be the ones that are paid out of my pay rises. I'm not bringing my pay rises into my budget. Call it a slight sense of paranoia, but I have a feeling these guys could get antsy, particularly this little cluster here. Particularly as I'd moved house like 5 years ago, so this one is old, and that was the problem with the other one. Then we come on to the rest of the red debts. So this is going to be paid for out of pay rises, and you can see from October I could probably bash out 1, 2, 3 over the course of a couple of months, and then I could bash out another one. So in theory, by December I could have paid off debts 1 to 5. Could have paid off debts 1 to 5. We're going to see. The 350, once I'm done with debt 1, is then going to go towards debt 2, which is water arrears, and that's £872.16. That's what they're up to now with fees and charges. Once they're paid off, we're going to go to debt 16, which is my energy arrears, which is £4,786.62. Once they're done, and providing I've got no other clarity and I still definitely owe this amount, I'm going to deal with the student loan overpayment of £4,115.43 out of the larger minimum payment. I'm not going to increase that £350 minimum from my wages. I'm going to try and lock that as is, as a regular payment debt. About a year and a half ago, or just over a year ago, I had been finding, it was a struggle, but I managed it. I had been finding about £300 a month anyway to pay the guarantor, operating a very similar system. So I know it's something I can manage and work with. It just makes things a bit more difficult. But hey, no one said that paying off debt was going to be easy. Finally, the default debts. Now, these default debts have accrued across all 3 of my credit reports, and they're the ones that I have managed to definitely confirm are in a default state. There were a couple of others up here that were appearing in a default in one and not the other, and then when I rang, there was no default notice issued on them. Again, I have asked for evidence of all of this to be sent to me in writing so that hopefully I have that record. But the 3 that are confirmed default debts are my green debts, and therefore they're my lowest priority. It's £110.28, £427.58 and £395. Like I said, we're going to tackle them at the end. Any of my amber debts that in the meantime, if they do go into default, they're going to stay in default. Anyone that decides they want to get a little bit spicy with the courts are going to jump up into a red. So hopefully this stays as is. In fact, hopefully we chunk a few of these off. I can't pull. I need to pull the plaster off. Right, okay. It means that my debt has jumped to £14,961.22. If you've been around here for a while, you will know that I talk in a very matter-of-factly, bouncy, come on, let's do this, because it's a good, I found it's a mechanism for just, it's not irreverence, it's crying about it gets me nowhere, and it's something that needs to be dealt with. Could I have coped with this 4 or 5 months ago? No. So am I thanking the universe for dumping this on me when I thought that everything was back to normal? Sound effects, voice effects. Just insert your pick. Is it also a replacement for swearies? Yes. It is. Now, in terms of where I am sitting from my financial security perspective, I'm 1 month ahead on my rent. I've got a £950 float there, not touching it. Not touching it. I have a £500 emergency fund. Not touching it. I have £800 in an account that's being watched by my mum for the cat as we move towards his end of life. Not touching it. With my current financial situation being what it is, I will, if I use that, I can 100% guarantee it's going to hit the fan somewhere. B, that I won't be in a position for quite some time to build that back up again quickly. And C, I need to... I'm not going to accept, by the way, that this is like, I'm not going to accept or like the fact that this is hard, but I need to deal with it in its hard, awkward state because it's not going to get dealt with any other sense of urgency, basically. Cards on the table. There are 100 other things I could put my money towards, all of which I will rank as important. You may not rank some things as important, but that's where our different scales come in. But it's not going to get equal weight. Like, round the corner, I am conscious of the fact that, you know, I've still got Christmas that's somehow got to be sorted. I've still got the cat who is, you know, still costs a fair amount of money and still needs things medically that is not included in that £800 that I've set to one side. So there's still things going on that I could put an equal weight to. And at the same time as well, in the background of all of this, I do have to safeguard me so that I can deal with this. So at the point of recording, I've not yet released yesterday's video, so I've not yet checked to see if there's the inevitable comment of you shouldn't have a subscription or I wouldn't give yourself spending money, because inevitably there will be, because there are some people that believe that you shouldn't have those things and that, you know, everything will be easier without it. And to a certain extent, I can see why these people have those mindsets. But for me, if I'm in the weeds like this, I'm going to take the small pleasures that I can. Some people can go gazelle intense and strip everything from their lives, and some people can't, and I am not one of those people. So while I can, within my very tight squeezed budget, safeguard a bit of personal spending, safeguard a couple of subscriptions, try and deal with this, I will for as long as I can. And we're literally hitting the ground on this. The potential issues that could flag up, and 32 minutes and 43 seconds, this was going to be a long one. The potential issues that could flag up immediately is if I am court mandated to make sure Debt 1 has their payment by Monday the 1st of September. I have asked for alternative like details for me to pay them. I can't pay cheque. I've been called to pay by cheque. I don't have a checking facility on any of my bank accounts, so I'm therefore unable to do that. So what I have asked for is information so that I can set up a standing order or a direct debit. If they do not receive their payment by the 1st of September, they have full license to go back to the court and go, she's not stuck to her arrangement, let's proceed with further, more aggressive collections activities. I want to avoid bailiffs turning up at my door. So providing I get that information, I can do a same day transfer, get the money sent over, set up a standing order, do a direct debit, as long as that is in by the 1st. That is the only hiccup that I can see happening, because I'm dealing with lawyers and I'm dealing with paralegals and I'm dealing with officers that are, you know, on a waiting game. Beyond that, there is no reason why I cannot start dealing with the debt that I have. So the red debt is going to be starting dealing with straight away. And when my pay rise comes in at the end of September, in time for October, and the debt will be dealt with. I'm not ruling out either throwing extra to this to get it cleared quicker, but that will be very much dictated by the amount that I bring in through Vinted the amount that I may bring in through a car boot, the amount that I bring in through YouTube, all of my extra earnings. And what I have to be conscious of in the background is the fact that Christmas is knocking on the corner. It's 4 months away, along with all associated activities, even if I go light, and I do go light generally for Christmas myself. And do I want to try and put that money elsewhere? That's a discussion for tomorrow's video. So there we have it. Apparently we're never given any more than we can handle. I would like to know who's deciding what I can handle and have a stiff drink and a conversation with them. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna love you and leave you. I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Bye bye for now.